Hello. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at some swans and how a local group have now focused their attentions on wildlife rescue with a little help from the Ferry. Also, a first look at one of the iconic vessels of the Broads, the Wherry, the Albion. Enjoy.
This is going to be a bit difficult because I'm trying to feed the swans. Oh, well done, you. Oh, well done. There you go. Right, these two adult swans and this little cygnet, we had a bit of adventure with them last night. And that was, one of the cygnets got some fishing line stuck in its mouth. So the only thing we could do was to rescue the cygnet and take it off to a wildlife centre to get the hook or whatever was stuck in its beak or its neck, because there was a great big lump in its neck, to get that removed. And so it was quite dramatic here last night, I have to say, as they were trying to feed the swans and get their confidence, and then at the right point there you go, my lovelies. Oh, ouch! Catch the cygnet, but we managed to do that. And I'm hoping I'm going to phone up later on and find out sort of how the cygnet's getting on. I'll probably talk to Paul, who has started a wildlife rescue group, and just find out some information later on. Poor things, they're so fantastic. They're so tame here on the Broads. They'll come right up to you. I've got some more bread. You have to wait a minute. But you just wait with me a minute. I'll see if I can do this one-handed while holding the camera with the other one. But also what I wanted to show you is the most fantastic, graceful old lady that's just coming up. Oh, you naughty cygnet. Give some to mummy. There you go. Whoop. Oh God, that's such a greedy bird. No, wait, I'm trying to get some to mummy. There you go. Oh, excellent. Well done. Yeah, got it. Looking down river. Sorry, looking up the river. There we go. And we have one of the classic Norfolk Broads wherries. This is the Albion. The Albion is the one which is featured on the credits for the local ITV news at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night. And she's getting on a bit now. Built in, I believe, 1897. She's 60 odd tons, and she was one of many wherries that plied the Broads during the course of the last few hundred years, bringing all sorts of farm produce and peat, obviously from the peat workings that became the Broads themselves, up to Norwich, down to Great Yarmouth. Now there's about a dozen or more left, and there are trusts that look after them and organise, like we have today, trips out where people can actually sort of sign up, pay, and have a day out on the Wherry helping out. And it must be a most fantastic experience. Nice and slow, you're not going to get anywhere in a hurry, but just an awesome way of travelling. This is our version, if you like, of the Thames sailing barge. You can see just one sail. It's just amazed there, just stunned, lost for words for a minute. But crossed quants at the beginning, at the front. Gracious me. Sorry? I know. Well, I didn't have the amount of material, you know. Make do and mend, I'm afraid. of course, you notice a little dinghy on the back there, which is tied on the back of the wherry, which just gives them enough movement so that they can steer, and it gives them steerage as well, because it can push the boat or pull the boat from side to side to just help manoeuvre it down some of these quite narrow bits of river. Of course, anyone getting in their way, well, that'll be their own fault, because a wherry is not going to get out of your way in a hurry. Brilliant. Right, I'm just about to pop round to Laden Bridge to meet up with Paul Rice, a friend of mine. Paul actually was the guy that got me involved in running the ferry in the first place. But not only that, around about the same time that we got the ferry started, Paul created an organisation. The idea was that it helped to disseminate information around what was going on around the Broads. If you like, a kind of a neighbourhood watch of the Broads called Broads Watch. Broads Watch has been going from strength to strength, and recently they've turned their attentions more towards wildlife rescue. So Paul, what I want to ask you first of all is, bearing in mind it was, I think, your idea that I got involved with the ferry, just how did that happen?
Well, I suppose really I should apologise for that. I mean, I can't remember how long ago. It must be 3 or 4 years now. And yes, the people that own the actual pub had a boat running, and they didn't have anyone to run it. And I happened to mention it to you one day. I think we were on search and rescue training, and that was the start.
I think so. I think first of all I sort of thought, yeah, maybe, but left it a few months. But I had this impression that it was just going to be, oh, just a Saturday and a Sunday, or just turn up. You know,
yeah, that's what I told you, I think.
I think it was as well.
Yes. Now look at you.
Now, at about the same time that I started the ferry, was about time, Paul, that you started Broads Watch. Just tell us about Broads Watch.
Actually, I think you'll find it was, yes. Broads Watch was formed in 2016. And the idea was we didn't really seem to be getting the proper safety cover, etc. And patrols, I suppose, is the way I put it. Trying not to be too political, but we were seeing things that we were reporting, and sometimes it wasn't being dealt with, etc. Just issues on the water. But the main thing was, when we did our search and rescue training and our first flood response training, that sort of stuff, it was the issues regarding the actual water safety of people on specifically hire boats, some private boats, and of ways of reporting it back to the authorities. And it started to morph a little bit from there. But in general, it was to do with water safety, and that's what we initially set up to do. But we're also trying to get information out to people that love the Broads or work on the Broads and holiday on the Broads and stuff like that. So it was another vehicle on, for example, the Facebook page.
I was going to ask you about
which
that,
gave us.
How many people you got?
We've got 2,370 odd members now from all over the world, predominantly from the East Anglia area. But it's quite interesting and. To actually disseminate the information to people, because they do look at it. We do regular weather reports, which is one of the main things for us. And if there's any issues going on the Broads, like pollution and stuff like that, we make sure that people know about that. The weather reports are quite important, particularly when you come to the wind and stuff and the heavy rain we've been having, and flooding, of course, because I'm also a local senior flood warden.
Okay. Now I know that sort of like years on, things have changed. Things have moved on now. So your focus is on a different issue.
Yeah, what we've found is that we are getting called upon a lot to do wildlife rescue now. And in fact, to date, over the last 4 weeks, we've been out on 12 calls, which is quite a lot. Nearly all to do with swans, predominantly to do with fish and tackle and stuff like that. But interestingly enough, not every job we go to, we actually find the bird. We have been successful this past week, because the last couple of jobs we've done, we've been there within an hour of the call and actually dealt with the job, which is really, really good. With the assistance of the local boatyards, helping us with getting boats in the water and stuff like that, it's been brilliant. And we work very closely with Wild Touch at Ridlington, which is an animal sanctuary, wildlife sanctuary.
Excellent. And of course, we've been around for you as well.
Of course.
And,
yes.
I have to say that was a brilliant thing that we've been able to do, and hopefully we can do more of that in the future,
Yes.
is actually be the boat on the water to get you out to the birds.
Yep.
We can also be, I was going to say the fly on the wall, but we can actually go out and keep an eye
Yes.
on these birds.
Monitoring is a very important thing. That situation we had recently at the ferry was quite interesting. That was a cygnet with 2 hooks in it. Unfortunately, it created an abscess because it had been in their throat for a while, one of the hooks, which has cost, unfortunately, our sanctuary over £400 in vet bills. Those are the sort of things we have to worry about as well, because it's not just rescuing the birds, getting them help. We can triage on the spot, which we often do. We can remove it on the spot with its hooks and stuff like that. And often we can just re-release the bird immediately, like we did the other day when I was on the ferry with you. With the cygnet with the line around its beak, it was literally less than 2 minutes. There it in, gone, done. Really, really quick. It can be. Other times you have to have the patience, and the patience can mean trying to ferry the bird, excuse the pun, into the edge or into an area where we can actually lift the bird out of the water safely. And there's a point here is we don't tend to use equipment to do that. We literally do a hands-on job because
I
it's safe
noticed
for
that.
the bird. And in fact, the bird is less panicked, which is an interesting thing. We noticed that if you lift out by hand, you get, obviously there's a way of the technique of lifting by the neck, etc. But once the bird's out, they do calm down because they seem to know that you're helping them, which is a fantastic thing. Yeah.
Can I take you back to the situation with the wildlife sanctuary? So, as we were saying, and this is a bit of a dilemma in it. The fact is that you're doing a great job, you're saving birds, you're taking them up there because it's then costing them so much money that they're in danger of actually collapsing. So what do we need to do to start fundraising?
Right, well that's an interesting point. As you're aware, Broads Watch is going for its community interest authorisation, which basically means we can legally raise money, which is what we want to do. We want to do everything properly legal. We've had a discussion with Jess and Dave at the sanctuary, and we're looking at the idea of doing some joint fundraising. But what we've planned to do, George, who owns the boat at London Bridge locally, who's one of our team and one of our helmsmen, what we're looking to do is raise money so that when we take a bird in, we give them money towards the upkeep of that bird. Now, interestingly enough, I had a call a couple of hours ago from Jess. 2 of the cygnets we've taken in that are too young to be released because they won't have learnt anything yet. We've got to find a home for them away from that particular sanctuary because they're running out of space. So that's another dilemma for us. So we're looking for somewhere where there's a body of water which is fairly protected. An ideal sort of scenario would be at a private lake or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's just about it for this episode. I'm sure we'll find out more about Broads Watch Wildlife Rescue in the future, as well as more about Wherries. So until next time, take care, and if you're on the water, stay safe.